Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Sire from On the Hot Podcast. Today's episode is actually going to be episode 53 for you guys. We're closing in on the 1 year mark of On the Hot Podcast. This is actually day 364 out of 365 days that we've been running the podcast. So this episode 53 for you guys today is going to be a solo episode. Your host this week only. That's going to be coming on all four of our platforms: our Apple Podcast account, our Instagram account, our Facebook account, and our YouTube account. So we're going to kick things off today discussing the NBA and discussing the history of the NBA Finals. Today I'll be sharing my top 3 NBA Finals series of all time. So this is actually a hard list because of all the historic series that have transpired throughout the years of the NBA history, all the all-time greats that have won championships, all the superstars that are becoming legends that have entitled their legacies and became champions and listed themselves on the history books and became a champion in the NBA. But the top 3 series of all time at 3, I had the Chicago Bulls, who took on the Utah Jazz in the NBA Finals during the 1997 Finals. Yes, I was a 98 baby. I'm 23 years of age, so unfortunately I didn't get to see this transpire and unfold when it actually happened. But due to the pandemic, due to the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, being documented and filmed by Netflix, I got to see all 10 episodes of the series, and then I went back on YouTube and watched how great this final series really was between the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls in 1997. So this was actually the first battle between the two, because they played each other in back-to-back finals in 97 and in 98. In 97, I'm going to talk about 97, the first time when we seen John Stockton and Karl Malone trying to win their first NBA championships, and dethroning Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman, who were looking to win their 5th NBA championship at the time. So the game that sticks out to me the most during this series was Game 5. And of course, you guys who have known or are basketball minded, know the game of basketball, know the history of basketball. Game 5 during the 1997 series was when Michael Jordan had the historic flu game. Now, Michael Jordan was not really supposed to play in this game, but it's the NBA Finals. He gave everything he had to bring, and he showed up and helped the Chicago Bulls in a huge way in Game 5, helping his team tie the series up at 2-2. He scored 38 points in that game. The closing moments of that game was honestly special. He was special throughout the whole entire night, and especially during the second half of this game. The closing moments of the game, with 25 or 20, around 20, I would say 32 seconds. Around 32 seconds left in the ball game, Scottie Pippen kicked that ball out to Michael Jordan when he hit a go-ahead 3 with 25 seconds left on the board, and it was basically the icing on the cake to win that game and help them get up in the series 3-2 in the series. And then one of the coldest images I have to say to this day in NBA history is after Michael Jordan hit that clutch 3 with 25 seconds to go, he was done. I mean, can you imagine playing any sport, playing with the flu, diagnosed with the flu? You're out of it. You're sweating harder than normal. You can't breathe. Nose congested. I can only imagine playing a whole 40 so minutes in an NBA Finals game with the flu. Michael Jordan did it, and I think one of the coldest images in my mind in the NBA history is when Michael Jordan could barely contain himself with 25 seconds to go. Scottie Pippen holding up the sick Michael Jordan, who gave everything he had to this team, his soul, everything he had to the game to make sure that his team won this game in Game 5. And I think that's one of the historic moments in NBA history. Every game in this series was competitive, and nobody won a game by double digits this entire series in the 1997 series. It was historic to watch, obviously, for the older audience watching and listening when Michael Jordan had this game and actually had a chance to watch this game. Obviously, the Bulls went on to win the next 2 games, Game 6 and Game 6, excuse me, because they won Game 5. Game 6 to win Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen's 5th NBA championships in their respective careers. So 1997 series is between these two franchises is always going to hold a historic place in my heart, and is ranked 3rd of all time between the two series, between the two in NBA Finals series. And then at number 2, you guys already know, for the younger audience that is watching and listening, you guys already gonna know where I'm going with this one. Is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors from the 2016 NBA Finals. Warriors came in. The storyline was everything you wanted heading into the NBA Finals. The Warriors came into the NBA Finals as the best regular season team in NBA history, finishing with a record of 73 wins and 9 losses. Nobody has ever duplicated that. No, I don't think no franchise will duplicate that in quite some time. It might take years and years, decades and decades to reduplicate this and even achieve something even greater, 74-8 record. I don't think any team is going to be special enough to do this for quite some time, especially the way how the NBA is going with teams deciding to rest their superstars. But this Warriors team in 2016, when they went 73-9, nothing has ever been done in NBA history, and this team was very, very special. LeBron, and meanwhile in the Eastern Conference, you had LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love looking to win their first NBA title all together, and most importantly, bring an NBA championship to the city of Cleveland for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This series has so many memories that will live on forever in NBA history, and the memory that lives on is that will live on forever. When you look back at this series, the Cavs were down were trailing and a huge deficit in the series, down 3-1. I remember the whole entire world of sports wrote off this Cleveland Cavaliers team. They wrote off Kyrie Irving. They wrote off Kevin Love. They wrote off LeBron James, especially, saying they didn't have anything. They didn't have anything to combat what deficit they were down by. They didn't have any chance of coming back from 3-1, because no one in NBA Finals history has ever came back from 3-1. And it was pretty historic because, if you guys remember, in the Western Conference Finals, the final year of Kevin Durant's career, in Oklahoma City, when him and Russell Westbrook and company were up 3-1 against the same Golden State Warriors team. The Golden State Warriors got dished out their own medicine when they were down. They came back all the way down from 3-1. Won that series in Game 7. And then, in this NBA Finals, they got a taste of their own medicine when the Cavaliers came back all the way down from 3-1 to win this NBA series. So I think, looking back at this series, I think Game 7 in the NBA Finals that year might go down as the greatest NBA Finals game in NBA history. Kyrie hit one of the best clutch shots over the top of Steph Curry. That fadeaway three will always live in the minds, especially my co-host Michi Jones, but all the minds of the younger guys watching and listening that love the game of basketball. Historic shot that brought the Cleveland Cavaliers their first NBA championship. That was the go-ahead shot that secured the win and secured their first title in Cleveland. That Game 7, LeBron James and Kyrie Irving combined for 53 points to help them win their first NBA title. And it has only been their first NBA title since then. So it'll be interesting to see how the Cleveland Cavaliers can get back into the mix for the next few years coming. But the best, and I think the greatest series of all time in NBA Finals history is the Miami Heat versus the San Antonio Spurs that took place in 2013. I mean, this series had everything you wanted. Outstanding head coaches, and at the time, Erik Spoelstra wasn't going to be considered an all-time great as a head coach, and a guaranteed Hall of Fame career, a Hall of Fame resume now, I should say. But at the time, it wasn't looking like that. But we had outstanding head-to-head coach matchups between Greg Popovich and Erik Spoelstra. And then you had this series who had a total of 4 NBA Finals MVPs, being Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade. That's the icing on the cake for a historic series, and these two teams gave it everything they had in the 2013 NBA Finals. Obviously, these two teams met back-to-back years in the Finals, 2013 the first time, and then 2014 the second time. But in 2013, it was a more collective effort from the Miami Heat, and from the, I won't say the San Antonio Spurs because they didn't go on to win that series, but everything that in this series had, they had Hall of Fame trios battling out. You had the big three of Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker going up against the big three trio of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. All 6 of those players are Hall of Fame players. Obviously, LeBron James is the only one still playing, but all of them, the guys, will be in the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. Game 6 will go down, I think, in my opinion, as the best finals game in NBA history. That's how great that game was to me. That's how historic that game was to me. And I'm not being biased because I am a Miami Heat fan, but that was everything that you wanted especially in the golden days and the golden era, in my opinion, of the NBA of this past decade. Heat fans, and the image that will live on in my mind forever, going back and thinking of Game 6 in this series. San Antonio was up 3-2, about to put the icing on the cake, win another championship and their historic dynasty run with Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. But Game 6 was in Miami. Heat fans were in the arena leaving with 2 minutes left. They were sick of it. They thought the series was over. And me being a little man growing up and being a Miami Heat fan, my heart sunk, and I thought that was it. But I always knew it's not over until the final whistle blows, because of how stacked that Miami Heat team was back in 2013. You're talking about names of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, who I'm about to mention in a few moments, Shane Battier, Mike Miller, Mario Chalmers. I mean, that team was stacked top to bottom. Golden days, man. Those are the days as being a Miami Heat fan. But getting back on track, Heat fans were leaving with 2 minutes to go in the arena. Ray Allen hitting that clutch corner three with 5 seconds to go to help his Miami Heat team go into overtime. And might have been the best clutch shot in NBA Finals history, because without that shot, if he missed that shot, the San Antonio Spurs would have went on and won that game, because there was only 5 seconds left. So the game went on to go into overtime. The Miami Heat surpassed the San Antonio Spurs 103-100 in overtime. Chris Bosh blocking Danny Green from the go-ahead shot to tie it to go into the second overtime was another icing on the cake image to me. It will live on forever from Game 6 memories between these two teams colliding against each other. That block sent shockwaves, and the Miami Heat gained full momentum heading into Game 7. LeBron James, obviously, looking back at Game 6, took a long time to get going. He struggled early, but finished the game with a triple-double, 32 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. And, yeah, that's everything that you want in a series game. If you guys the younger audience watching and listening, if you guys did not have the chance to watch this game live when this game took place, I advise you guys to go back on YouTube and watch the full game. I believe it's still on YouTube. It was on YouTube during the COVID era. But the Miami Heat went on to win this series and win Game 7, helping LeBron James win his second championship in his career, the third championship and a final championship for Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh's second and final championship in his illustrious career. But those are the top 3 series that I thought I've ever seen, or ever, in my opinion, that have ever took place in the NBA Finals. Again, at 3, the Chicago Bulls versus the Utah Jazz in 1997. At 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Golden State Warriors in 2016. And at number 1, the Miami Heat versus the San Antonio Spurs, taking place in 2013.